It is the week of the Coral Eclipse, so how appropriate that we have Coral sponsoring on Racing UK this week, and we can speak to Dave Stevens. Hello, Dave.
Good afternoon, Angus.
How are you keeping? You had a nice weekend?
Yeah, lovely, thank you. I was at the Festival of Speed at Goodwood yesterday, which is not a festival of drugs, it's a festival of motorsport and everything associated with it. And it was a lovely weekend, apart from the weather, but hey, listen, we're not going to moan about the weather.
No, well, we shouldn't do, should we, really? But were you there on a jolly, Dave, or were you whizzing around the track?
Angus, me on a jolly? How dare you? Yes, of course I was, yeah.
Apparently the traffic was terrible around there as well, so I don't know how long it took you to get home.
I live about a mile away, so it's very, very straightforward.
That's it. Well, I know who to come and stay with for the glorious meeting then, Dave. Thanks very much for the invite.
It's just a matter of rolling down the hill at the end of the day.
Magic. I like that sort of thing. Exciting week for you as a firm?
It's a great week. I mean, it's our flagship sponsorship. I think we're up to about 34 years now, something like that. We go back to Wallow in whenever that was, 76, and probably more than that then, isn't it? My maths aren't too good. And we also sponsor the entire card now on the Saturday. So, yeah, it's our big day. And I've got to say, we're delighted with the 5-day entries, not just for the Coral Eclipse, but for all the racing. It was pretty clear a while back that we weren't going to get Frankel, which is disappointing, but he'll go to Goodwood and York, which is great. But as a result, I think we've got a wide open field, which the betting, I mean, So You Think is the 10 to 11 favourite at the moment, so another odds-on favourite. But I don't think that tells the whole story, because just looking at some of the potential rivals to him, I mean, second favourite is Far, who I know some people thought was a shade unlucky in the Prince of Wales Stakes. I'm not so sure if he'd have beaten So You Think with a clearer run. But the great thing is, it looks like we'll find out, because Godolphin have supplemented him, so it looks like he'll definitely line up. He's the 4-1 second favourite, so he's going to have another crack at So You Think. Carlton House, who was the Queen's horse who split them in the Prince of Wales, he's not, again, it was pretty clear that he wasn't going to run, so we haven't got him. But it's just some of the horses in behind in the betting. I mean, Nathaniel, King George winner, and it was pointed out that he, running over 10 furlongs, so he won't mind the rain that is forecast if it's a little bit soft on Saturday. He's certainly got the stamina. And there's probably no better, jockey and trainer team at the moment than John Gosden and William Buick. So I think Nathaniel is certainly one that is likely to be, a popular each way selection. But just other horses, I mean, Bonfire appears to be the leading 3-year-old challenger. Of course, I don't think he got home in the Derby, but he won the Dante before that. So this trip will be great for him. And then Cityscape, who's one of 3 potential runners who actually he won on Dubai World Cup night this year. Obviously, we've got Monterosso, who won the Dubai World Cup, and Daddy Longlegs, who won the UAE Derby. So, yeah, there's no shortage of challengers. You've got Crackerjack King, who's an Italian Group 1 winner. You've got Twiceover, who are extraordinary. I mean, I was just looking back through. This horse finished, I think, 6th or 7th in the Eclipse. The EFC, the Stars won it. He then, of course, came back and won it the following year. He's won, the Champion Stakes, the German International. So Twiceover, now 7-year-old, coming back for another crack at the race. So I think there's plenty of strength in depth. And although So You Think he's odds on, he's by nowhere, he's not a Frankel 1 to 10 or a Black Caviar 1 to 6 or a Camelot 1 to 5. He's a shade of odds on, but I think he's one that there'll be plenty of punters willing to take him on, because let's face it, he's a top class horse. We know that, but his record over here, he's been beaten enough times, I think, for punters, or for plenty of punters to think that he's worth taking on again. Of course, there'll be those that think he's an absolute good thing, and that's the beauty of say, around the 10 to 11, it's not short enough to put people off.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it, for the race, really, because people know that he is beatable, he is susceptible if you've got the right horse. So that's nice for the race. What also would be nice is if the weather does dry up and we don't get too much rain. There might be a bit of rain this week, because you don't want it to be a quagmire, do you?
It's exactly that. I mean, I was speaking to my colleague Simon Clare this morning, and he one eye on the weather forecast. I think good to soft ground, fine. I think we can all accept. It's been a atypically wet summer. But it's as you said, there's a difference between good to soft and it going heavy and sticky and cause for a start we want the strongest possible field, and it's not unreasonable to want good ground in the middle of summer. I don't think we're going to get that. One thing's for sure. I mean, Andrew Cooper and the team do a terrific job. I think you rarely hear connections of horses bemoaning the state of the ground at Sandown or Epsom, which the courses Andrew and his team look after. So just one other thing, actually, it's sort of a smallish point, but something we're sort of quite pleased about. The Eclipse is the 5th race of 7 on Saturday, which is the latest it's been. Mm-hmm. And this is, there's a great, we're very strong at Coral in thinking that the feature races should, build up through the day.
Yeah, totally agree.
For terrestrial TV reasons, it's not quite as late as we'd like it, but again, we accept that. But it is the 5th of 7. It's off at 3:45. Of course, it'll all be on Racing UK. But it's just something that hopefully will, the crowd on the day at the racecourse will sort of, just appreciate the build-up to the feature race by going off just that little bit later than it has done in the past.
I like the way you name your races as well, that you've got the Charge, the Challenge, the Distaff and the Marathon. I like that. Nice and simple, but it tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, it's again, this is a relatively new invention for us. We took on the entire card a couple of years ago. James Niles, our head of racing, and we speak through like your Racing UK colleague James Willoughby. We spoke to at the time, and there is a nod. I mean, people will, I'm sure, will pick up on it. There is a nod to the Breeders' Cup, with the Coral Charge, the Coral Distaff. We're not claiming we're the Breeders' Cup, but yeah, it's something different, and hopefully it's something that will punters and racegoers will identify with as the years goes on, and certainly. In terms of the actual races, most importantly, I mean, at the 5-day stage, we got 21 in the Coral Charge, which is the Group 3 sprint. I think there's over 30 odd in the Coral Challenge, which is the 1 mile handicap, which there will be betting available later on this afternoon. So do check back. Yeah. But yeah, we're delighted. I mean, we saw at Royal Ascot huge field sizes in all the races. And there is a demand for good quality racing run on great on the great surfaces. So hopefully, as I say, couldn't be happier at the 5-day stage. And we just hope that the weather doesn't intervene too much, and that come Thursday when the final decks are made, that these fields will hold up.
Yeah, indeed. Let's hope so. It's going to be a tremendous day. It certainly is, if the weather stays okay. Let's just have a quick chat about Camelot, Dave, if we could. Look, he got the job done, didn't he, in the Irish Derby, without being impressive. But I'm sure the ground had a lot to do with that. You've priced him up for various races upcoming. I'm sure the Ledger's going to be his number 1 target, however.
Yeah, that's certainly the lads, as they're known. The lads,
the boys. Yeah.
They seem set on the Triple Crown, which I think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I've not seen it in my lifetime. When Nijinsky in 70, the last one, obviously, he's 1 to 3 for that. So the race looks at his mercy, but a lot can. There are races to be run at York and Goodwood that will throw up Ledger horses, and I'm sure that people, connections of rivals won't duck away from the challenge, because he will be going over a mile 6, which will be a completely new test for him. But terrific that it looks like, I say, we're going to have a potential Triple Crown on our hands, which, to add to this tremendous season we've had already with Black Caviar, with Frankel, and stories to be written. So, but aside from the Ledger, I mean, as you'd expect for one of Aidan's, he's in all the top races. He's in the Champion Stakes, where he could come across Frankel. Obviously at Ascot in October, but perhaps more likely is the Arc, for which he's the 9 to 4 favourite. There'd be enough of a gap, I would have thought, just as about 3 weeks between the Ledger and the Arc, depending on how he got on at Doncaster. But he'd be 9 to 4 favourite for the Arc, behind his stablemates and Nicholas Abbey. Just reiterating the strength in depth that Ballydoyle have, not just with the classic generation, but with the older horses as well.
Yeah, indeed. I think we've just got to be careful with any race for Camelot at the moment, haven't we? Other than the Ledger, really. It's just very hard to know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, reading Aidan's comments now, will there be a race between now and then? And Aidan himself said, well, what is there for him? Which suggests, we're not going to get the race with Frankel in the Juddmonte International at York, which I think is fair enough. Camelot has his own target, which is the St Ledger, and let's celebrate that, because, as I say, it's not something we've seen. Well, over 40 years, and we haven't had horses attempting it. So the fact that it's very much on the cards for them is something that I think we all hope he gets there. Whatever happens after that, we'll take it one race at a time, as they say. But he is in everything, and clearly he's going to be a major player wherever they choose to go. Yeah,
going to be a short price wherever he turns up. Dave, we'll call it today. Thanks very much indeed. No doubt we will be speaking to yourself and Simon throughout the week as we build up to the Coral Eclipse. Thank you.
Thanks, Angus.